So by now you're getting really good at solving these gas law problems, and we're starting a sheet where you're going to combine all the gas laws together into one. And you might want to write that equation up here. You're going to write P1 V1 over T1 equals P2 V2 over T2. So just include that somewhere at the top of your paper, and every problem is going to have 5 out of the 6 variables given in somehow, and you're going to solve for the 6th one. Number 3 is the example we're going to do together. So go ahead and take a look at that. And as you read along with me, if you're able to identify the variables before I do, that's a good sign. We have a gas that has a known volume of 28 liters, a temperature of 45 degrees Celsius, and an unknown pressure expands to 34 liters and 35 degrees Celsius. If the new pressure is 2.0 atmospheres, what was the original pressure of the gas? So as you went through here, you should have labeled 28 liters as V1. It's connected to a temperature of 45 degrees Celsius, which is T1, and an unknown pressure expands to 34 liters and 35 degrees Celsius. That means we have a second volume V2, a second temperature T2. It tells us that the new pressure, new, gives us a clue that we're looking at P2 here. And then what was the original pressure, that tells us that we are solving for P1. Original would go with the first set of variables. And at this point, you have everything you need to plug in. Of course, the only thing you need to do is change your temperatures to Kelvin by adding 273 to both. When you add 273 to 45, you should get 318. And when you add 273 to 35, you get 308. We'll go ahead and put units on there so we know what we're doing. And then we plug everything in. So the variable we want is P1. We'll leave that just the way it is. We'll plug in 28 for V1 and 318 for T1. Other side, we'll plug in 2 for P2. We'll plug in 34 for V2 and 308 for T2. And then we just have a pretty simple algebra problem to solve. You're going to cross multiply. We'll get P times 28 times 308 equals 2.0 times 34 times 318. Get P by itself by dividing both sides by 28 times 308. When you put that in your calculator, I'd probably multiply all of these, write that number down, multiply these two, write that number down, and then divide. Otherwise, you might make a simple math error. And we'll keep this with a 1 here, because that's our first pressure that we're trying to solve for. I'll give everybody a second to solve that. You should have found that the answer is 2.51, and we'll keep the unit the same as P2's unit, which was atmospheres. And then you can go up here and mark it out on your answer bank. And there's a lot of problems on this sheet. It'll just give you a chance for a lot of practice, but they're all pretty much done the same way.